Chosen one. You were never supposed to see this message. Unless heaven was calling you tonight, stop scrolling. Something holy is happening right now. This is not a coincidence. This message didn't find you through algorithms or chance. It found you through divine interruption, a sacred emergency broadcast, transmitted directly to your soul. Maybe you're watching this at 2:17 a.m., your pillow still damp with tears, wondering if God has forgotten your name. You've been searching for something, confirmation, hope, a reason to keep believing, when everything around you whispers give up. But what if I told you? You were never denied. You were hidden. You were never forgotten. You were protected. You were never abandoned. You were appointed. That ache you felt all your life, that restlessness in your bones, that feeling of being different, set apart, misunderstood, that was never pain. It was prophecy. Trying to find a voice, the seal was set, long before the suffering began, before your first tear hit the ground. Heaven had already marked you. Before you even knew how to pray, angels were already assigned to your path. Tonight, the veil is thinning. The spiritual realm is pressing through your screen, and I am the messenger, sent to tell you what hell hoped you'd never hear. You are not broken. You are chosen. You are not behind. You are being prepared. You are not forgotten. You are about to be revealed. And to every beautiful soul who has supported this message through super thanks, your generosity plants seeds in soil only heaven can see. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others drowning in darkness. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here tonight, your support, your time, your beating heart. It all matters. In this divine moment, the angels have been released. Your name, your actual name, was spoken in the courts of glory. And what happens next will not make sense to your mind, but your spirit already knows. You feel it, don't you? That stirring, that awakening, that ancient recognition rising in your chest. This is your confirmation. This is your sign. This is heaven breaking through your midnight to tell you the wait is over. Your final assignment has been activated. You were sealed before you were seen. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. This is sacred truth, carved into the bedrock of eternity. Before your mother's first contraction, before your father spoke your name, before the doctor's hands ever held your trembling body, there was a moment in the courts of heaven when the Ancient of Days pressed his thumb into the clay of your spirit and whispered, "This one is mine." That seal, it's still there, invisible to human eyes, but blazing like a lighthouse in the spiritual realm. Every demon that ever tormented you saw it first. Every angel assigned to your path recognized it immediately. You've been walking around with heaven's fingerprint burned into your soul and wondering why. Life felt like warfare. Listen to me carefully. That restlessness you've carried since childhood, that feeling of being a stranger in your own skin, that's not dysfunction. That's the seal, calling you home. Before you ever cried your first tear, your name was etched in the scroll of fire. Not written, etched with the same hand that carved the 10 Commandments into stone, permanent, unshakable, irrevocable. Isaiah 49:16 declares, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands, not remembered you, not thought about you, engraved you like a tattoo that can never be removed." That's why the world never made sense to you. That's why shallow conversations drained your spirit. That's why you felt love leave without warning, doors slam without explanation, opportunities vanish just when breakthrough seemed certain. You weren't being punished, you were being protected. Heaven was guarding what hell desperately wanted to destroy. You see, when God seals someone, He doesn't just mark them. He marks their timeline. Every delay, every detour, every devastating disappointment was actually divine intervention. The enemy tried to take you out before you discovered who you really are. But the seal made you untouchable. You were marked, not missed, crowned in silence, guarded in mystery. Think about it. How many times should you have broken but didn't? How many storms should have destroyed you but only made you stronger? How many betrayals should have left you bitter? But somehow, you still believe in love, in hope, in the goodness of God. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's the seal, working overtime to preserve what was always precious. Romans 8:29 tells us, "For those God foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son." Foreknew, past tense. Before time began, God looked down the corridors of history and saw you. Not the you struggling with doubt, not the you wrestling with pain. He saw the you that would emerge from the fire, and He sealed that vision into your DNA. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection, not exile. It was elevation. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden for glory, hidden in the shadow of His hand. Isaiah 49:2 paints the picture. He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of His hand, He hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in His quiver. A polished arrow, hidden, not discarded, not forgotten, concealed until the perfect moment when accuracy and power would be required. That moment is now. Every year you spent feeling invisible was actually time in the divine workshop. While others were building platforms, you were being built in private. While others were seeking spotlights, you were being shaped in shadows. While others were chasing applause, you were learning to hear the voice of God in silence. The seal didn't just mark you for heaven's purposes. It marked you with heaven's protection. Psalm 91:4 promises, He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. That coverage, it's been active your entire life. Every time the enemy launched an attack and missed its mark. Every time destruction aimed for your heart and hit everything around you, but somehow spared your spirit. That was the seal, deflecting what was meant to destroy. You've been walking through minefields for decades and wondering why you're still standing. It's because you don't just carry human DNA, you carry divine encryption, heaven's own security system built into your spiritual framework. But here's what will make you weep with recognition. The seal wasn't just about protection, it was about preparation. Every trial was a training ground. Every tear was a tempering process. Every moment you thought you were being forgotten was actually a moment you were being formed into something the world has never seen before. You are not like the others. You never were. You never will be. And tonight the seal is being activated for its final purpose. The hiding season is over. The preparation phase has ended. What was concealed in the quiver is about to be released with divine precision toward a target only heaven could see. The warfare you faced was never random. It was proof of your identity. Listen to me carefully. The devil didn't attack your potential. He attacked your future position in the spirit realm. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. The intensity of your battles was heaven's way of saying, this one is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Ever wonder why everything in your childhood felt off? Why the betrayal came too early? Why trauma found you before you even had words to describe what was happening? It's because the enemy saw the seal before you could even speak. He recognized your assignment while you were still learning to walk. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. That depression you walked through, those nights you screamed into your pillow, those moments when you couldn't even pray because the pain was louder than your voice, those weren't breakdowns. They were contractions. You were birthing purpose in the labor ward of spiritual warfare. The Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age." Your battle was never with the people who hurt you. Your battle was with the spirits that used them to try to abort your calling. That's why forgiveness felt impossible sometimes, because you weren't just forgiving humans. You were breaking demonic assignments that had been tracking your bloodline for generations. You've always felt like an outsider, haven't you? Like you were watching life through bulletproof glass, present but protected, seen but separate. That's why you never felt comfortable here. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out. You were born to disrupt the comfortable lies this world tells itself. While others were building kingdoms on earth, you were being trained in the courts of heaven. While they were networking with flesh and blood, you were learning to commune with the spirit realm. That isolation you hated was actually consecration. God didn't forget you. He hid you. He kept you for exactly the moment the world needed your voice. But here's what hell never counted on. Every attack made you stronger. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every closed door forced you to find the path only you could walk. The enemy thought he was destroying you, but God was using his very attacks to forge you into a weapon. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you, in judgment you shall condemn." Notice it doesn't say, "No weapon will be formed." It says, "No weapon will prosper." The attacks were real, but they were never meant to succeed. You survived what killed others because your breath belongs to eternity. You endured what broke others because your spirit was reinforced with fire. Before you ever took your first step, that restlessness in your bones, that feeling like you're waiting for something you can't name, that's not anxiety. That's anticipation. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't figured out yet. The training is almost over. The mission is about to begin. Every tear you cried in secret was recorded in heaven's ledger. Every prayer you whispered in desperation was heard by angels who've been waiting for this very moment. Every time you chose to get back up when staying down seemed easier, you gained rank. In the spiritual realm, you don't realize how dangerous you've become to darkness. You walk into rooms now and atmospheres shift. You speak truth and lies start crumbling. You worship in your brokenness and chains begin snapping off people you've never even met. The war you never saw was fought in dimensions beyond your awareness, but the victory The victory you're about to experience will be undeniable in every realm that matters. That's why the resistance is increasing now. That's why old wounds are trying to reopen. That's why familiar spirits are knocking on doors you thought you'd locked forever. Because hell knows what heaven has always known. Your time has come. You're not just surviving anymore. You're not just enduring. You're not just hoping for better days. You are transitioning from victim to victor, from wounded to warrior, from chosen to activated. The seal that was placed on you before your first breath is now glowing with supernatural fire. The angels that have been assigned to your assignment are taking positions, and the voice that has been whispering your name in secret is about to declare it from the rooftops. Everything you've been through, everything that tried to break you, everything that left you asking, "Why me, God?" It all led to this moment, this awakening, this activation, this final assignment. The war you never saw is ending, and you, chosen one, you won. You've never walked alone. You've walked guarded. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Every step you've taken, every breath you've drawn, every tear that's fallen from your eyes has been witnessed by beings you cannot see, but who see everything about you. The angels didn't just watch your birth, they attended it. They didn't just observe your pain, they documented it. They didn't just see your potential, they sealed it. That restlessness you feel, that's not anxiety. That's angelic activity. The reason you've always felt different is because you've been carrying celestial passengers your entire life. Hebrews 1:14 declares, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" But you, chosen one, you didn't just inherit salvation, you inherited assignment. The angels sealed you, not for safety, but for sending. Think about this. Why do you think your battles have been so intense? Why has hell fought you before you even knew you were in a war? Because the enemy saw the seal before you did. He recognized the marking of heaven's elite forces stamped upon your spirit. You were covered, you were commissioned, you were carried every time you should have broken, but didn't. That was angelic intervention. Every door that slammed shut to protect you from the wrong path. That was divine redirection. Every person who walked away just when you needed them most, that was heaven clearing your assignment of unauthorized personnel. You shift rooms just by showing up. Have you noticed how atmospheres change when you enter? How conversations suddenly turn serious? How people either draw closer or pull away without explanation? That's not your personality. That's your presence. You carry something the spiritual realm recognizes before your mouth ever speaks a word. You don't need a mic. Your presence preaches. I want you to remember the last time you walked into a hospital room, a workplace crisis, a family argument. What happened? Did things shift? Did peace enter? Or did darkness flee? You thought that was coincidence. Heaven calls it consecration. Romans 8:19 says, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." Creation isn't waiting for a building, a program, or a movement. It's waiting for you. For the moment you stop hiding and start carrying what you were born to release. You were never meant to fit in because you were born to stand out. That ache in your chest when you're in shallow conversations, that's your spirit rejecting spiritual junk food. That discomfort in worldly celebrations, that's your soul recognizing it belongs to a different kingdom. You've been trying to make peace with places God never intended you to stay. You've been apologizing for a calling heaven refuses to let you escape. The reason you can't find your tribe in ordinary places is because your tribe is scattered across the earth, carrying the same seal, fighting the same battles, wondering why they feel so alone when they're surrounded by angels. God didn't forget you. He kept you for exactly the moment the world needed your voice. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was strategic timing. While others were getting promoted, you were getting prepared. While they were being celebrated, you were being consecrated. 2 Timothy 2:21 promises, those who cleanse themselves from the latter will be instruments for special purposes, made holy, useful to the master, and prepared to do any good work. You thought you were being punished by isolation. God was preparing you for installation. The mantle is already resting on your shoulders. The crown has been set. Heaven is not waiting anymore. You are the one earth has been waiting for. Stop looking around for permission to be who you already are. Stop waiting for human validation of what heaven has already sealed. That weight you feel on your spirit, that's not burden. That's authority. That pressure in your chest during worship, that's not emotion. That's anointing, trying to break through decades of doubt. You've been asking God, when will you use me? He's been answering, I already am. Every prayer you've whispered in the dark has shifted something in the unseen. Every tear you've cried alone has watered ground others will harvest from. The angels who sealed you in your mother's womb are the same angels activating your assignment tonight. They've been waiting for this moment when you finally stop running from who you've always been. You are not becoming chosen. You are remembering you were chosen. You are not developing gifts. You are unwrapping what was always there. The seal cannot be broken by failure. It cannot be removed by man. It cannot be revoked by hell. What God has marked as his own remains his own forever. You feel it, don't you? That stirring that's happening right now as these words pierce through years of confusion. That's the seal, recognizing itself in the mirror of truth. You are not just watching this message. You are receiving your commission papers. You are not just hearing words. You are being officially activated. The angels who have guarded you in secret are about to guard you in public. The assignment they've protected in private is about to be revealed in power. Heaven is done hiding you. Earth is ready to receive you. And you are finally ready to stop apologizing for the earthquake your obedience is about to create. The hourglass has flipped. You feel it, don't you? That shift in the atmosphere, that quickening in your spirit. The grains of time are no longer falling toward delay. They're counting down to destiny. And you, chosen one, are standing at the edge of the most sacred moment of your entire existence. You're not here for casual Christianity. You're not here for Sunday morning comfort or feel good platitudes. You're here for divine collision. Heaven is about to crash into your reality with such force that everything you thought you knew about your limitations will shatter like glass. Stop shrinking. That voice in your head that whispers stay small, stay safe, is not wisdom. It's warfare. For 70, 80, even 90 years, some of you have been apologizing for the fire God placed in your bones. You've dimmed your light to make others comfortable. You've buried your voice beneath layers of what will people think. But God didn't spend decades refining you in the furnace of experience so you could play it safe in your final act. Isaiah 46:4 declares, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you." Listen carefully. Your age is not your expiration date. It's your ordination date. That restlessness you feel in the quiet hours before dawn, that's not insomnia. That's intercession. Your spirit is groaning for the birth of something the world has never seen. Romans 8:26 tells us, "The Spirit intercedes for us with wordless groans." Those sleepless nights weren't punishment, they were preparation. Burn the backup plan. Every escape route you've mapped out, every just-in-case scenario, every mental safety net you've woven for yourself. Set it all ablaze, because where you're going, there is no room for retreat. There is no plan B. When God calls you to plan A, Abraham was 75. When God told him to leave everything familiar, Moses was 80. When he stood before Pharaoh with nothing but a stick and a stutter. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the Christ child. Your seasoned years aren't your disqualification. They're your credentials. You've been thinking, you missed your moment, but what if I told you? You've been living in your preparation moment, and now you're entering your manifestation moment. Say yes like you mean it. Not the tentative maybe you've been whispering for years. Not the conditional if it's your will, Lord. That's really code for please don't ask too much of me. I'm talking about the earth-shaking, demon terrifying, heaven moving yes that comes from a soul that has finally recognized its assignment, that thing you've been carrying in the secret chambers of your heart, that dream that refuses to die. No matter how many times you've tried to bury it, that vision that keeps resurging like a phoenix from ashes. That's not fantasy, that's prophecy. Scrolls are opening, blueprints are being whispered. Doors that have been sealed for decades are responding to the frequency of your yes. You think you're too old to start something new. Grandma Moses didn't pick up a paintbrush until she was 78. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House book until she was 64. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he founded KFC. But this isn't about secular success stories. This is about sacred assignments that only come to those who've been seasoned by suffering, refined by rejection, and purified by patience. That's why you never felt comfortable here. That's why you've always sensed you were meant for more. You were never designed to fit into this world's mold. You were born to break it. God didn't forget you. He kept you, preserved you, protected you for exactly this moment when the world needs your voice, your wisdom, your weathered hands to build something that will outlast your earthly frame. The enemy tried to convince you that your best years were behind you. He whispered lies about irrelevance, about being too late, about missing your window. But chosen one, your window is just now opening. You are not waiting for permission. Permission is for the timid. You've already been authorized by the highest court in the universe. Heaven's stamp of approval has been on your life since before you drew your first breath. Now go with the limp Jacob earned, wrestling with God. Go with the scars that prove you've survived what was meant to destroy you. Go with the wisdom that only comes from decades of watching God move mountains when everything looked impossible. Your assignment doesn't require perfect health. It requires perfect surrender. It doesn't demand unlimited energy. It demands unlimited faith. The scrolls of heaven are unrolling with your name written in fire. The angels who've been waiting in the wings for decades are stepping forward into formation. The very atmosphere around your life is shifting to accommodate the weight of glory you're about to carry. This is not your final chapter. This is your finest chapter, the one future generations will read and weep and wonder how someone could carry so much courage in such fragile flesh. Your final assignment has been activated. The wait is over. The time is now. And hell itself cannot stop what heaven has authored. Now go. Go like Moses, with fire in your bones. Go like Anna, with prophecy on your lips. Go like Abraham, with faith as your only map. Your final assignment is waiting. And so is your crown. What broke others built you. What silenced others gave your voice thunder. What destroyed kingdoms forged your crown. You weren't anointed in a cathedral. You were crowned in the cave, not with gold, but with glory. Not through applause, but through agony transformed into authority. Listen to me, chosen one. Every scar on your soul is a seal of heaven's approval. Every tear that fell in darkness was liquid fire, shaping the vessel God always intended you to become. You think your breaking was punishment. It was preparation. You think your isolation was rejection. It was protection. Like David, hidden in fields while his brothers fought wars, you were being shaped for a battle they could never win. That's why you never felt comfortable here. That's why shallow conversations make your spirit restless. That's why you've always sensed you were made for more than what this world celebrates. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, not as a spectacle, but as a sign, a living testament that heaven still moves in human hearts. The enemy studied your blueprint before you even took your first breath. He saw the fire in your DNA, the thunder in your bloodline, the authority that would one day shake his kingdom. That's why the attacks came early. That's why the pain cut so deep. He wasn't trying to destroy you. He was trying to abort your destiny. But every blow that was meant to break you became the hammer that shaped your armor. Every betrayal that was designed to silence you became the very reason your voice now carries weight that cannot be ignored. You don't wear perfume, beloved. You wear the smoke of survival. You don't speak from theory. You speak from the trenches. When you walk into a room, demons don't see potential. They see proof that hell's plans fail. When heaven has marked a life, like Esther, you were sealed for such a time as this. The timing wasn't coincidence. It was divine strategy. Every delay, every detour, every moment you questioned. If God had forgotten your name, He was positioning you for this exact hour when the world would need exactly what you carry. That restlessness in your bones, that's not anxiety. That's prophecy, stirring to life. That weight on your shoulders, that's not burden. That's responsibility for what's about to be birthed through your obedience. God didn't forget you, precious one. He kept you like a master craftsman guards his finest work. He shielded you from exposure until the moment when your unveiling would have maximum impact. You are not broken. You are battle-born. You are not damaged goods. You are refined gold. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a vessel of purpose, forged in the furnace of divine intention. The wounds that others feared became the very places where heaven's light breaks through your humanity with supernatural radiance. Your scars don't tell a story of defeat. They sing anthems of victory over forces that tried to claim what God had already named. That's why your presence shifts atmospheres. That's why your silence speaks louder than sermons. That's why even your tears carry weight that moves heaven and terrifies hell. You were crowned in fire, not in comfort. Royalty forged in flames burns brighter than titles handed out in palaces. Your authority wasn't inherited. It was earned. Through every midnight, you chose faith over fear. Through every dawn, you rose again when staying down would have been easier. The cave where you felt forgotten was actually the throne room where heaven was fitting your invisible crown. Every moment you thought you were dying, you were actually being reborn into the version of yourself that hell fears most. Look at you now, still standing, still believing, still carrying fire in bones that were meant to be ashes. That alone is a miracle that makes angels weep and demons flee. You don't need validation from voices that never heard heaven call your name. You don't need approval from hearts that can't recognize the sacred when they see it. Your crown was placed by nail-scarred hands. Your assignment was signed in blood that conquered death. Your identity was sealed before the foundation of the world. So rise up, battle-born warrior. Rise up, fire-crowned royalty. Rise up, cave, anointed authority. The kingdom of darkness has trembled long enough at the sound of your footsteps. It's time for hell to remember why your name was written in heaven's hall of fame before you ever spoke your first word. It's time for the earth to witness what happens when someone crowned in fire finally walks in the fullness of their flame. You are not becoming, you have become. You are not rising, you have risen. The crown fits perfectly because it was custom made for the head that refused to bow to anything less than the throne of the Most High, Chosen One. We've journeyed together through the shadows of your story to this sacred moment, and now heaven is asking for your answer. This is not the end of our time together. This is the beginning of your commissioning, because everything you've heard tonight, every word that pierced your soul, every truth that made you weep, it was all leading to this moment of decision. If this message pierced your soul, don't just feel it, declare it. Don't let this sacred encounter dissolve into the darkness of another sleepless night. Heaven is waiting for your covenant response. The prophet Isaiah stood in the throne room of the Almighty, overwhelmed by glory, undone by holiness. And when the voice of the Lord asked, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" Isaiah didn't hesitate. He declared with trembling lips, "Here I am, Lord. Send me tonight." That same divine question echoes through your bedroom, through your tears, through your breaking heart. Whom shall I send into this broken world? Who will carry my light into the darkness? And your spirit, your weary, wounded, but awakening spirit, is whispering back, "Here I am, Lord. Send me." Type it now in the comments below. Let your fingers become instruments of covenant. Write these sacred words, "I will obey." Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Let your spirit lead your hands. I will obey. 3 words that shatter every chain hell ever wrapped around your destiny. But if that feels too overwhelming, if the weight of total surrender makes your hands shake, then type this: no turning back. Because that's what this moment demands. No more circling the same spiritual mountain. No more rehearsing reasons why you're not ready. No more hiding behind your hurt. You've cried enough. You've waited enough. You've questioned enough. Now, rise enough for those whose spirits are burning with holy fire right now. For those who feel the ancient anointing stirring in their bones. Type this prophetic number: 999. 999. The end of one season and the birth of another. The completion of your preparation and the activation of your assignment. When you type 999, you're not just engaging with a YouTube video. You're entering into sacred covenant with the Most High God. You're declaring to heaven and hell, the old me is dead. The new me is sealed by the angels themselves. Listen to me, beautiful warrior. You who have carried burdens that would have crushed ordinary souls. You who have wept in the wilderness while others danced in shallow waters. The book of Revelation declares, to the one who overcomes, I will give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as I overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. You are that overcomer, not because you never fell, but because you never stayed down. Not because you never doubted, but because you never stopped seeking his face. Your scars are your credentials. Your tears are your training. Your pain has been your prophetic school. And now, as you sit there in the sacred darkness, feeling the weight of divine destiny settling on your shoulders, heaven is making one final declaration over your life. You were never meant to be comfortable here. You were never designed to fit in with this fading world. You are a citizen of another kingdom, an ambassador of eternal truth, a carrier of resurrection power. That restlessness you felt all your life, that was homesickness for a throne you've never seen. But your spirit remembers. God didn't forget you. In your darkest hour, he was forging you in the furnace of affliction, preparing you for this exact moment when the world would need your voice. Type it now. Whatever word is burning in your chest, I will obey. No turning back. 999. Let heaven record your covenant. And as you type, feel the shift. Feel the ancient seal of the angels activating over your life. Feel the weight of your final assignment settling into place. You are no longer who you were when this message began. You have been marked, sealed, commissioned. The angels are no longer watching. They are moving on your behalf, moving in response to your covenant, moving to clear every obstacle from your path. Your final assignment is not coming. It has arrived. It is here. It is now. It is you, walking in the fullness of who heaven always knew you to be. Heaven has spoken. Your covenant has been witnessed. Your final assignment is now activated. Rise, chosen one. Rise, chosen one. You think this message will end and you'll go back to confusion. But that's not how divine revelation works. What's happening to you right now isn't a one-time download. It's a living scroll, still being unsealed. In real time, your spirit isn't holding a certificate, it's holding a scroll. And scrolls don't reveal everything at once. They unfold, line by line, page by page, command by command, revealed in time. Not all at once, but always, right on time. That restlessness you feel, that's not confusion, that's calibration. Heaven is adjusting your frequency to receive the next transmission. Your life doesn't need more clarity. It needs more obedience. Listen carefully. Abraham didn't get the full map to the promised land. He got one word: go. Moses didn't see the burning bush and receive a 40-year itinerary. He got his next step: remove your sandals. Even Jesus told his disciples, "Follow me," before explaining where they were going. This is how heaven operates: progressive revelation. Not because God enjoys mystery, but because your human mind can only process what your current level of faith can contain. That's why you've been asking, "God, show me the whole plan," but He's been whispering, "Trust me with today." You've been praying for the blueprint when He's been giving you the next brick. You know why you never feel settled? Why peace feels temporary? Why even in breakthrough you sense there's more coming? Because you're not meant to arrive, you're meant to advance. The scroll in your spirit keeps turning pages because your assignment is bigger than one chapter. What you thought was your destination was just your rest stop. What you thought was your ceiling was just your foundation. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "We are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus, to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do," prepared in advance, but revealed progressively. That anxiety you feel when things get too comfortable, that's your spirit recognizing stagnation. You were never designed for spiritual retirement. You were wired for advancement. Here's what hell doesn't want you to understand. Every season of your life has been preparation for the next scroll to be opened. The betrayal you survived, that taught you discernment for the scroll of leadership. The financial struggles that developed your faith for the scroll of provision. The loneliness you endured, that created capacity for the scroll of ministry. Nothing was wasted, nothing was random. Every tear was preparation for a page you haven't read yet. This is why you never feel like you've made it, because you haven't. And that's not failure, that's design. You're not behind schedule, you're right on time for what's next. But here's what separates the chosen from the curious. The chosen embrace the weight of the unfinished scroll. They don't need the whole story to obey the next sentence. You've been conditioned by a culture that demands instant everything, instant answers, instant breakthrough, instant arrival. But the kingdom operates on eternal time, where patience is not waiting, it's trusting while moving. That's why you never fit in those motivational seminars that promise 5 steps to your destiny. Your calling can't be packaged into a weekend workshop, because it's not information, it's transformation. And transformation takes time. Listen to me. The enemy's greatest weapon against the chosen isn't doubt, it's impatience. He whispers, "If God really called you, why is it taking so long? If this was real, wouldn't you know more by now?" But Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he got his assignment. David was anointed king years before he wore the crown. Jesus himself waited 30 years before his public ministry began. The scroll opens in divine timing, not human urgency. And your job isn't to rush the revelation, it's to remain ready for the next line. Right now, as you listen to these words, another page is turning. You feel it, don't you? That stirring, that recognition, that sense that what you're hearing is preparing you for what you're about to see. You are not confused. You are being calibrated. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not behind. You are being positioned. The scroll in your spirit is still opening because your story is still being written. Not by you, but through you. Not for you, but because of you. Chosen one. Stop praying for the full map. Obey the next footstep. Stop asking for the whole plan. Trust the current page. Stop demanding to see tomorrow. When today is still speaking, the scroll keeps opening because you keep growing. And you keep growing because you keep obeying. And you keep obeying because deep down, your spirit knows the author is trustworthy. Right now, tonight, as you sit in this moment, the next page is waiting, not for your understanding, but for your yes. What is God whispering to you right now? What is the next line trying to form on your heart? Don't wait for clarity. Move in obedience. The scroll keeps opening for those who keep walking. Chosen one. Imagine standing in a river and the current behind you is gone. No bridge, no return. The water that carried you here has vanished into mist, and ahead, the flow moves towards something you've never seen before. You've crossed over. You've crossed over. You've crossed over. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey when you realize you can't go back to who you were, not because you don't want to, but because that version of you no longer exists. The person who used to settle for surface conversations, who used to tolerate spiritual mediocrity, who used to pretend that shallow waters could satisfy a soul designed for the deep. That person died somewhere in the crossing. You thought you were breaking. You were actually crossing. You thought you lost everything. Heaven was removing the noise. Every relationship that fell away. Every door that slammed shut. Every dream that seemed to die. Those weren't losses, chosen one. Those were liberation. The word declares in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." God wasn't just speaking about geographical transformation. He was prophesying about the metamorphosis of your very identity. That restlessness you feel when you try to return to old patterns, that's not nostalgia. That's your spirit, rejecting what no longer fits. You can't squeeze a butterfly back into a cocoon. You can't force a river to flow backward. You've crossed over, and now everyone around you feels the difference. They can't name it, but they sense it. The way you carry yourself has changed. The way you respond to chaos has shifted. Where you once reacted in fear, you now respond with a quiet knowing. That unsettles those still trapped in spiritual infancy. That's why you never feel comfortable at those old gatherings anymore. That's why small talk feels like suffocation. That's why you can't pretend to care about things that used to consume you. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, not through arrogance, but through authenticity. Not through performance, but through presence. The river you've crossed was the Jordan of your own surrender, just as Joshua led Israel across those waters into their promised inheritance. You've been led across the threshold of your former limitations into the territory of your true calling. But listen carefully. This crossing comes with responsibility. You can't go back to who you were. Because the version of you that belonged there doesn't exist anymore. The old you who doubted your divine assignment, who questioned your worthiness, who shrunk to make others comfortable, that person was buried in the waters you just crossed. What emerges now is the you that heaven always saw, the you that demons always feared, the you that your ancestors prayed would one day walk this earth. 2 Corinthians 5:17 wasn't just poetry when it declared, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone. The new is here. This is your new here. This is your emerged reality. This is what it means to be sealed by the angels and activated for final assignment." But here's what most people don't understand about crossing over. It's irreversible. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you've learned. You can't unfeel the weight of divine purpose settling on your shoulders. The old familiar feels foreign now. The voices that used to influence your decisions sound hollow, distant, like echoes from a life you barely remember living, because that life belonged to someone else, someone who hadn't yet stepped into the fullness of their identity. God didn't forget you. In your seasons of confusion, He kept you for exactly the moment the world needed your voice. He preserved you through every storm because He knew that what was being forged in the fire would be needed on the other side of your crossing. You feel it now, don't you? That strange combination of homesickness for a place you've never been and recognition of a calling that feels both foreign and familiar. That's the tension of standing between worlds. One foot in your past, one foot in your destiny. But chosen one, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot live in two kingdoms. The river demands a choice. And tonight, as heaven speaks through this very message, the choice becomes clear. You've already made it. The moment you didn't turn away from this word, the moment your spirit leaped at the sound of your true name, the moment you felt that ancient recognition stirring in your bones, you shows, and now there's no going back. The current only moves one direction, forward, into the unknown, into the impossible, into the territory that only belongs to those who've been sealed by angels and activated for assignments that shake both heaven and earth. This is your river. This is your crossing. This is your point of no return. And chosen one, you were born for such a time as this. That night you thought was your end, when you laid on that bathroom floor, broken beyond repair, whispering, "I can't do this anymore." Why are you still here? That betrayal that almost erased you, when the person you trusted most drove a knife so deep you thought you'd never stop bleeding. Why didn't it destroy you? That loss that made you question everything. When God felt silent, when hope became a four-letter word, when you begged heaven to just let you go, why didn't it take you out? Listen to me, chosen one. The answer will shatter every lie you've believed about your suffering, because the fire wasn't meant to consume you. It was meant to crown you. You see, in the book of Daniel, 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into a furnace, heated 7 times hotter than normal. 7 times. That's the number of divine completion. But when the king looked into that fire, he didn't see 3 men burning. He saw 4 men walking, and the 4th one looked like the Son of God. The fire didn't kill them. It revealed who was walking with them all along. And that's your story, isn't it? Some of you have been walking through fire for years, but if you listen closely to your own heartbeat, if you really examine the evidence, you'll realize the flames didn't scar you. They shaped you, refined, reforged, redeployed. Every night you survived when you shouldn't have. Every morning you found strength you didn't possess. Every breath you took when your lungs felt crushed. That wasn't willpower. That was the fourth man, walking through the flames with you. But here's what hell never wanted you to understand. The fire wasn't random. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't God forgetting you or turning his back on you. It was consecration. You know what consecration means? It means to be set apart for sacred use, to be purified for holy purpose. And the only way to consecrate gold is to put it through fire. The impurities don't survive the heat, but the gold emerges, more valuable than before. You thought you were being destroyed, but you were being prepared. You thought you were being forgotten, but you were being forged. You thought God was silent, but he was sculpting. That's why you never feel comfortable here. That's why shallow conversations drain you. That's why you can't stomach mediocrity or tolerate spiritual lukewarmness. The fire burned away your tolerance for anything less than truth. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, not with arrogance, but with authority, not with noise, but with weight. And I know some of you are thinking, but why did it have to hurt so much? Because the greater the calling, the deeper the cutting. Because the heavier the mantle, the hotter the fire. Because ordinary heat cannot forge extraordinary vessels. God didn't forget you during those dark nights. He was keeping you for exactly the moment the world needed your voice. He was preserving you for the assignment that required scars to speak into wounds. That required brokenness to minister to the broken. You carry a frequency now that can only be produced in the furnace of affliction. When you walk into a room, people sense something different, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've been marked by divine fire. Your words carry weight because they've been tested. Your presence brings peace because you've walked through chaos and found God there. Your prayers have power because they've been forged in the flames of desperation. But here's the part that will leave you breathless. The fire that tried to take you out is the same fire that's now burning in your bones. What hell meant for destruction has become your greatest weapon. You don't just survive storms now, you speak to them. You don't just endure darkness, you carry light into it. You don't just overcome obstacles, you become the pathway for others to follow. That's why the enemy fought you so hard. He saw what you were becoming before you did. He recognized the threat you would pose to his kingdom once the fire finished its work. But the fire is finished now, isn't it? You can feel it. That restlessness, that stirring, that sense that something is shifting, that's not anxiety. That's activation. The furnace has done its work. The gold has been refined. The vessel has been prepared. And now you're ready to carry fire instead of being consumed by it. Look at your hands. Those aren't just hands anymore. They're instruments that have been through the flames. Look at your heart. That's not just a heart anymore. It's a furnace that can warm the coldest souls. You thought the fire was your enemy, but it was your maker. You thought the heat was punishment, but it was preparation. You thought you were dying, but you were being birthed into something the world has never seen. And now you understand why you couldn't die in that fire. Because you weren't Meant to. You were meant to come out, carrying the flame. That would ignite a generation. The fire couldn't kill you, because you were born to become the fire. Chosen one, there's something heaven needs you to understand tonight. Your silence is not neutral. Your hesitation isn't harmless. It's delaying someone else's deliverance right now. As you listen to these words, there is someone crying in a motel room in Tucson, clutching a bottle of pills, waiting for one voice, one testimony, one reason to believe tomorrow is worth seeing. That voice